Well, good morning, OPC, and welcome to our, believe it or not, January edition of Mondays with the Mayor. Now, obviously, I'm filming this a little bit before, and it's still Christmas season, and so I get to wear this suit that I absolutely love. It makes people more uncomfortable than it makes me wearing it, which is fantastic. But I thought I'd share with you a few things happening in the city as we do every Monday, the first Monday of every month, and really give you a quick update on some of the things that we've experienced here in the city of Rochester Hills. Let me start by thanking you. Thanks for putting up with virtual Mondays of the Mayor for most of the last year. I look forward to the chance we can actually get together, maybe bring some cookies, share some stories, answer some questions directly, and be face-to-face again. I really do miss that. I miss my good friend Darlene Robinson. I haven't seen her in a while. She's been with me since the beginning of this, over a decade ago, is a great friend, and I'm anxious and looking forward to seeing and presenting with her again as well. And with all my friends from OPC, thank you for being such faithful supporters of Mondays with the Mayor. Well, as we wrapped up 2020, there are a lot of things that we can be grateful for, despite the fact it was a really challenging year. And in my next Mondays with the Mayor, I'm going to highlight a lot more of those, really get into the details of how we did, where we thought we'd be with the budget, where we ended up being, what we're seeing happen with small businesses, the magnificent interest in our parks, some of the big quality of life investments we've made, like Auburn Road Corridor and Innovation Hills. Give you a big update on all those things going on. But at the moment, I want to focus a little bit more on probably the most important topic that we're covering right now, and that is COVID, how we're handling it, how we're dealing with it, and what I see happening in this month. Now, in the month of December, I was honored to be invited by President Trump as one of only 5 mayors and 5 governors to attend a vaccine summit with the leader of the FDA, the leader of the cabinet-level Secretary of Health and Human Services, Alex Azar, the president himself, the vice president himself, many members of the cabinet, and others who were there to talk about the vaccine distribution strategy. Now, in December, you've all been following along. You know that Pfizer and Moderna have had their vaccines approved by the FDA, and distribution is out. In the vaccine summit that I attended, we heard from the general who's in charge of the execution of that distribution. And let me tell you, he was all general. He divided the country down the middle. FedEx was going to have the West. UPS was going to have the East. They were going to have shots in arms in 96 hours from the moment that the verdict was revealed that the vaccine had been approved by the FDA, and they delivered. Every governor had contacted the federal government saying how many doses they wanted and what addresses they wanted those doses distributed to, and the U.S. Army, aided by the private sector, FedEx and UPS and others, executed that implementation plan. And as you know, now many government leaders have gotten the vaccine. I have not yet, obviously, but many frontline workers, the vaccines are prioritized for folks that live in long-term health care communities, nursing homes and the like. Frontline workers, hospital workers, firefighters, police officers, those folks most likely to be exposed were given first priority. And I'm sure now we'll be talking more about the next distribution. There are a few other vaccines that are coming on the market that hope to be approved soon. One of those vaccines is fantastic because it only requires one shot. The Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines both require a booster 21 and 28 days after the initial vaccine. Now, at that vaccine summit, the leaders of Walgreens and CVS were there as well. There'll be some pretty significant changes to those two organizations. Interesting fact is that 85% of the United States population lives within 3 miles of either a Walgreens or a CVS, and certainly that covers everyone here in Rochester Hills. We have, and I counted the other day, over 700, feels like it, Walgreens and CVS's in the city. Not quite, but it feels like it. Anyway, they're going to turn their shops over, their stores over, into being vaccination centers. A lot of their product is going to go away, and they're going to be turning into places where people can go make appointments and get vaccines. Vaccines are complicated. They're political. Some people love them. Some people don't. I encourage you to do your own research, to talk to your doctor to make sure you feel comfortable. But at the end of the day, something has to change in order for us to get back to some sense of normalcy, and the vaccine seems to be the way that that's going to happen. The month of January, schools are supposed to get back up and open. Later this month, the governor is supposed to make more determinations about restaurants. We know that movie theaters and bowling alleys have been open, casinos and other things. A very interesting, sort of strange way that we get information about what's open and what isn't. Some of them I agree with, some of them I completely don't understand, just like you. But we have been following the restrictions and the orders as best we can. The number one thing, we want to make sure our community stays safe. I'm in constant contact with the leaders of Beaumont and Ascension to keep an eye on how many hospital beds we have available, to talk about any other problems that they see happening with emergency care, so that our firefighters know. They're the ones that are picking up COVID patients and taking them to the hospital. So we really have a good line of communication between not only the hospitals, our first responders, but some of the other major organizations like the OPC, like RARA, like the library and others, all working together to make sure we have a really strong regional approach in how we attack this issue of COVID and how it impacts really the ripple effect all throughout our community. So stay safe, stay strong, talk to your doctor about the vaccine. Many of you are probably going to be in the early groups that will receive the opportunities to have the vaccine in January, and just want to make sure that you're comfortable and you have all your questions asked before it becomes time to consider that for you. Well, as I said, there's lots of things going on in the city. I was so incredibly proud of our team. As I went through and did my performance appraisals of my directors, really every single director stepped up in some unique fashion. As I was looking at their 2019 goals, of course, none of them were really applicable once March hit and once COVID hit. And you just think about the ways everybody had to react differently. You know how it impacted you and your family and your daily life. But for example, the election. We couldn't use the same locations we were used to using. The vast majority of our election workers weren't comfortable working. We had an incredibly divisive election, and they did a great job. You think about the building department, or all of a sudden, building had to continue to be approved. It was always an essential service, but they couldn't go into buildings. And so we figured out a way to do it virtually with cameras and iPads, and we're able to continue to approve projects despite the challenges of COVID. Think about the fire department and the police department. First responders running into the fire, and in this case, running into the places most likely to get COVID, nursing homes and hospitals, and doing it every day, 12 to 18 times a day, to make sure our residents were safe. You think about the Department of Public Services delivering on more road projects and water and sewer projects than any year in the past decade, despite the challenges of only having one person in a truck and being able to only work with certain distances approved, and really challenging the way in which they're used to working. You think about the way we communicate. Typically, for example, the census. We finished 4th in the nation with the census. We put a whole plan together as an organization, and we were going to have ice cream trucks and hot dog giveaways and all these face-to-face door knockers. None of that could be done. We had to completely reinvent ourselves and go online and rent billboards and do Snapchat ads and all these things to connect with people in a way that we had never imagined when we put the plan together 18 months ago. And how did we do? 4th in the nation. We're the safest city in Michigan for the 5th year in a row. We've got some really exciting development projects happening that are going to increase the vibrancy of the city. We've not just taken the year off, we've doubled down on our investment in Innovation Hills, adding boardwalks. And this year in 2021, we're going to add another boardwalk and probably the coolest, biggest playground in Southeast Michigan for your grandkids. And not only that, if you haven't seen the Auburn Road corridor, I'm really excited because in a few months in the spring, we're going to open up the splash pad. The park is going to be finished. The whole road looks incredible. We did not take a year off. We did not skip a beat. We did not miss a breath. I am so proud of the way our team at the City of Rochester Hills hopefully responded to all of your needs and didn't just do it from a responsive defensive posture. We were innovative, we were aggressive, and we advanced the quality of life in our city. It's a privilege to lead this team. And as I said, I look forward to a chance to give you a more thorough update on our 2020 numbers, what's happening the latest with COVID, and hopefully some more good news about infrastructure and investments at our next meeting in February. If you have any questions about anything I presented, you can always call me at City Hall at 248-656-4664 or reach me by email at barnettb@rochesterhills.org. Until I see you in February or hopefully sooner, God bless and have a great January.